I'm going to tell you everything that I did to get my first job as a AAA concept artist so you can implement the same when searching for a job. Back in 2016, I got kicked out of art school. 6 months later, I got hired at Ubisoft ANSI with no degree, and at the time, all my classmates were sitting in class and was far from being the best among them. I got saved by someone who told me exactly how to craft my portfolio. And by the end of this video, I will give you everything you need to do the same, reach industry level, and apply in ways that gets you hired. Let's get started. This is me back in 2013. I'm a little metalhead, I'm a nerd, I'm painting Warhammer miniatures, I'm playing Skyrim and wanting to become a sound engineer and producer for metal. After realizing that music industry is not at all for me, I decided to buy my first graphic tablet and start practicing in Photoshop. I applied to a private school in Lyon, France. They have a concept art class, but unfortunately, as I just started to draw a few months ago, I'm not allowed into it. Instead, they advised me to do 3D, do a year of that, and then reapply to concept art after. And that's exactly what I do. So I'm getting a student loan with my parents. Naturally, they freak out, and I'm starting to learn 3D. I'm quite decent at it, and everyone in my class knows me as the guy who wants to learn concept art. At the end of the year, I reapplied to concept art class, and this time I'm getting allowed into it. Moving on to September 2014. Before the year starts, I'm thinking in my head that I'm going to crush them, crush everyone in my class. I know the school already, I know their mindset, the teachers know me, I know the teacher, I know 3D, I know Photoshop, yeah, it's going to run smoothly. Except it's not the case at all. But what happens is exactly the opposite. Everyone in my class, without a single exception, is one of those little art prodigies who started drawing since they were able to hold a pen, and they never stopped, and they are so good. Worse than that, 95% of the first year is going to be traditional only, which makes the slight edge I have in Photoshop absolutely irrelevant. And the cherry on top, most of the teachers we have are not concept artists and they consider that 3D is cheating. So 3D is forbidden. So at that point, I'm starting to question what I got admitted in the class. And I also realized that I won't have the time nor the possibility to get as good as my classmates at drawing in such a short amount of time. So very fast, I need to establish a strategy to 1. Get good enough grades so I can secure my spot in the next years and eventually get my degree. 2. Develop a process that allows me to play to my strengths, which are 3D and Photoshop, and get me a traditional looking result. And 3, if I get to the second year, specialize immediately into something so precise I can excel at it and stand out for at least one thing amongst my classmates. And all of that without ever getting caught by either my parents or my teachers. Yeah, that's a wicked plan, I know. But that's the best the 90-year-old me in full panic mode could do at the time. And at the time, I'm not doing it for me. I'm doing it purely out of guilt. I'm doing it for my parents because we took a student loan together. We are not a very rich family. They got in debt for me, and all they told me was to commit to getting that degree. That's all. And after just a few days in class, I'm already aware that getting that degree is gonna get compromised. However, what I did not know at the time is that despite going against everything the school wanted, it will save my yet to start career. Back to school. For the whole year, I'm doing every assignment in 3D and Photoshop first, then laying my computer monitor flat on the desk with some books, sticking a sheet of paper on it with duct tape, tracing everything on paper, then doing the rendering and polishing traditionally. It is working decently, except for when we are in class, of course. I'm terrified and teacher quickly categorized me as a super stressed student. And at the time they were right. I never got to cheat even once when I was at school before, and now I'm walking that extremely thin line between doing legally my work by any means necessary and covering up my tracks, or blatantly cheating according to their standards. And despite how crazy it might sound, across the whole year I never got caught even once. So at the end of the year, the teachers allowed me in extremis to the second year, so it was 1 year done already. Yes! Moving on to 2015, I'm telling myself it's going to be the year. We are moving to fully digital painting. We have the right to use 3D. I don't have to hide myself nor consider that I'm cheating. I am safe. Except guess what? My classmates are catching up on digital painting extremely fast. I'm barely ahead, but not as much as I hoped, so I'm not standing out. 3D is only tolerated by one teacher. All the other ones still consider that we are cheating when using it. They want us to pixel paint everything by hand and do it the hard way instead of going for the most efficient route. Plus 3D and photo bashing were not very widespread techniques at all in 2015. And again, the school clearly requires us to be generalist and not specialize. Okay, this year, I'm specializing anyways because I'm pissed. So, allow me to introduce you to Richard. He is the only real concept artist we have amongst our teachers. And when I meet him in class, he was just done working on Horizon Zero Dawn, Deus Ex and Killzone. So for 20 years old me, he is literally God. He's using 3D, digital painting and photo bashing, just like me, so I naturally orbit around him a lot. And after a few weeks only in class, he understands my situation and he believes in me. He just tells me to commit to realistic environment design, which I'm already doing a lot, and he tells me to do exactly this. 1. I need to pick accessible AAA companies like Ubisoft. 2. I need to understand their art style and their process perfectly. And 3. I need to focus on replicating this style as best as I can without doing fan art. So this is what I do under his guidance for the whole year. And of course, the school hates that. This leads us to March 2016. After facing a disciplinary board, the school asked me to quit, and my parents had received the school report. On it, there are lots of zeros, 40 days of absence, and some weird, extremely specific comments like "except owl characters with dark cloaks and shiny reflections, you're struggling." You can clearly feel how emotionally charged some teachers were about wanting me to quit. So now I'm an art school dropout and my parents are freaking out again, feeling even more guilt to the one I had already for having taken the loan. All of that for the studies I completely sabotaged without my parents being aware of it for over 2 years. So now we are in June and my parents are clear. By the end of the year, I have to come back to mom's home unless I find a day job to keep paying for my apartment. I am feeling like crap, alone in my room, while all my classmates are still having a blast at school and with disappointed parents. I decide to contact Richard again. He's the only person in the industry that I know, and he tells me to stick to the plan he gave me a year ago. Except that this time I have to build a portfolio and send it to companies by fall. So that's exactly what I do. I work on it for weeks, then months, then in early December a friend of mine sends me a job offer by Ubisoft and about an environment concept artist, and he tells me to apply. I tell my mom about the job offer. She tells me to get back home immediately and she monitors my work every day, several times a day for 2 weeks like a tyrant. And then I apply with my portfolio. I send my email to Ubisoft, and 2 days after, they answer. The folks at Ubisoft are interested in my profile and they want to do an interview with me. So 2 days after, the day before Christmas 2016, we are having a call. And the first question the HR asked me is, "So, you get an art school degree, right?"
It was at this moment that he knew.
I just muttered that no, I dropped out of school to finish my education as a self-taught and no, that's better. We actually prefer self-taught artists rather than graduate.
What?
I was in shock. Richard was right, I was right, and the school was wrong. They only wanted students to do their way of doing art, which is the only way according to them at school. They wanted us to do student work that scream "I'm a student" instead of "I'm a professional." This call just blew my mind so much. Then in January 2017, I'm having an art test for 4 days and I have to do 2 pieces way above my level. I'm sleeping 8 hours in 4 days and I deliver the best artworks I have ever done at the time. A few weeks after, new call from Ubisoft. They want to have a physical interview with me. I prepare that interview for days, read every tips about common question asked during interviews. My dad makes me practice every evening. I go to Annecy, I get the interview, and a few weeks after again, while I'm in the streets, heading back home, new call from Ubisoft. I am hired. Words cannot express that feeling at that moment, that feeling of relief. All the guilt from everything I have done a few years ago getting lifted off my shoulders. The guilt I accumulated from all those controversial decisions, gone. They proved to be the right choice and it feels so good to know my career is about to start, that my parents are relieved too. So what's the moral of the story? Well, first of all, I never got my degree. Actually, second, nobody ever asked me about it. Whether it was at Quantic Dream, Netflix, Ubisoft, Share Creators, NetEase, Eden Games, in freelance, whatever, nobody ever asked me for a single degree. And third, it highlights the importance of having a portfolio that is custom made to match the expectations and the requirements of the company you are applying at. And I call it a targeted portfolio. Don't get me wrong, my portfolio was far from perfect at the time. All I did was doing my best to mimic what I saw in Assassin's Creed, The Division or Far Cry with my small abilities. It was just because I was stubborn and not academic in a school that wanted us to be generalist. On the other side, most of my former classmates struggled to get a job because their portfolios were all over the place and not focused at all. It was just schoolwork. On my side, it was 100% committed to 5 to 6 companies, doing similar style and content. And that's it. There was no doubt about it, and just a matter of having a good enough technique or not. So rather than giving you a list of things to do and wishing you good luck, I made something better for you that you can access for free. It's an entire video course teaching you everything you need to learn art from beginner to pro level. It will tell you exactly what to learn based on your current level and where to find the best online course for it without breaking the bank. I designed it to replace the curriculum of an art school based on the content I personally watched or wish was available at the time I was learning art. I called it the Self-Taught Artist Playbook. It's 100% free and easy to access. Just click on the first link in the video description or go on theartnest.academy/free course. That's it, folks. Whether you are in an art school or not, all that matters is your portfolio. Next week I'm showing you how to craft the perfect targeted portfolio so companies start hiring you. See you next time, folks.